Hopefully I won't forget to turn the mic on and I can see the little green thing working there, so I'm good to go. Sure does look quiet though. Anyways. Okay, so we're going to be learning Java. You're going to need some software called NetBeans. There's a couple of different ways you can install the Java JDK. One of them, you do not get NetBeans. You can do Java development without NetBeans, but you have to have some kind of text editor. And if we're going to use a text editor, we may as well use the one built into NetBeans. Now, some of the other sections, the professors teaching Java do not use NetBeans. NetBeans is what's known as an IDE, an integrated development environment. It comes up, it's got windows for you to type in, you can create new projects, you can run, you can debug all right there. Otherwise, you're stuck using a text editor. And you type in your program and then you run it, but you don't get the nice debugging windows and stuff like that. It doesn't highlight where your errors are. And so I guess those professors want you to be able to roll up your sleeves and rough it. I'd rather you learn the tool that you're probably going to use if you go out in the real world. There's one that's even more popular than NetBeans called Eclipse. It's open source, whereas NetBeans is not. But it works very, very, very similar. So it wouldn't matter which one we taught with. I like NetBeans because it comes with a form designer that you can use to create Java Visual GUI applications. So that's why we're using that one. So there's a link to installing it. You're going to want to install the version at the link. And don't install it on your school computer here. Install it on your computer at home. Mac, Linux, Windows, it's all good. If you don't have a computer at home that you can install this stuff on, then there are computers over there at the, in room 206 in the business lab that have the development tools on it. All right, so once you log into D2L, you're going to see that there's a content menu. This is where all of our notes and all of our videos and all the other documents are created. Then you're going to see an assignments page. The assignments page is where you're going to see a list of all the things that you have to submit, as homework or as daily assignments. Then there's a quizzes. We're going to have a quiz over each chapter. We will talk more about this as I dig through the syllabus. Just want to familiarize yourself with the fact that we have these menus up here. So I posted some ancillary documents here. Logging into the campus network. Well, I couldn't even get to, on the campus network. How am I going to read that document? Well, you could use your phone to get to d2l.rose.edu. Or login help and IT support. Rose important dates and the catalog of all the courses that Rose teaches. You can poke around in there, see what you find interesting. Over here in Start Here, we'll see that my office hours are there. Didn't mean that to be the very top document. The syllabus, a page called Taking Screenshots of Your Work, the class schedule, and something called the lecture video form. Now this is more for online students, and I don't think that there are any people taking this class online, but it will apply to you if you miss a day and you want to watch the video at home. We'll talk more about that. So I'm going to pop open the syllabus. Before I do that, let's go and take a look at the class dates really quickly. You know that in the fall we get 2 breaks. We get a fall break, which is just a couple days long. It means we get 1 day off effectively because hardly anybody is on campus on Friday. We also get Labor Day off. Then there's a much lengthier fall break. Thanksgiving is the entire week. It used to be that you only got partial week. Nowadays you get the entire week. The price you pay for that is that finals week extends, a couple of days later into December. So our final exam is on December 18th, which means that the last day of class is December 11th. If we get far enough into the class that I feel we can sacrifice the last day of lecture, I will offer you the chance to take the exam on that day instead, so that you don't, rather than wait a week and do the final. On the other hand, some people like to wait the week and do the final, gives them more time to study. So this is going to be our flow that we follow. You have ample notice of the exams. However, if the date slides for some reason, then, absolutely we'll give you at least 2 weeks notice. So when you pop a link in the content menu, it'll show you a preview. The preview stinks. Sometimes it'll show you everything that you need. Sometimes it's missing sections. Sometimes it's missing images. It's missing tables and stuff like that. Especially if it's a PowerPoint, you absolutely do not want to use the preview window for it. So whenever you pop open the link, download it. Just click on the little down arrow and choose download, or scroll to the bottom. Pretty much every document. All right, what is this? Introductory course in developing both procedural and object-oriented logic. If you've taken CIT1613, you learned procedural logic. Now we're going to be learning object-oriented programming as well. Using the Java programming language. Using several program development tools and techniques, including traditional flowcharts and pseudocode. Now, honestly, we're not going to do flowcharts and we're not going to do pseudocode. Hopefully you had your fill of that when you took fundamentals. This course will present the core concept of writing computer programs: variables, decisions, loops, functions, classes, and object-oriented programming in the Java language. Now, honestly, I expect you to already know what a variable is. And I expect you to know how to write an if statement and have an idea of what a loop is and that there are such things as functions, which in this language is known as methods. So, I expect you to have taken 113 or otherwise have some programming experience as you come into here. Doesn't mean that you absolutely have to, but it is a prereq. All right, so you know what time the class is because you're here. You can see my name, Professor Thompson. I don't care if you call me by my first name or last or whatever. Just don't call me any naughty words. Hurts my feelings. Or if you're going to do so, dress me down in private. Here's my phone number. I strongly encourage you to give me a contact by phone. If you get stuck on a programming problem, you can just take a picture of your screen, text it to me, and as long as I'm not driving on the highway or something, I can usually look at it, answer it, pretty quickly. And people find that a really good problem-solving technique. So anytime you're stuck on something, all you have to do is text me and ask for help. Quite eager to help. Yes, you can also email me, but I don't check my email nearly as often as I check text messages, right? And this way you can show me instantly what's on your screen. On the other hand, email is totally cool. Go ahead and write email, send it to me. You might send me a text message as well saying, hey, I emailed you about blah, 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 just so that I know to go and check it right away. I would like for y'all, if you don't mind, and this is true even if you've had me in the past, because I wiped out all your phone numbers at the end of the semester, as I am wont to do. Go ahead and send me a text message with your name followed by the word Java to that phone number. So if you have your phone, please go ahead and grab it. Send me a text message with your name and the word Java. That way I can make a contact list. That's just to encourage you to store me in your contacts and to communicate with me that way. You call me if you need help, text me or whatever. I will never contact you for anything not involving school. And about the only reason I would ever, contact you unexpectedly would be if I knew that class was going to be, canceled because of bad weather or whatever. Speaking of which, you can enroll in something called, I believe it's called Blue Link? Something like that, an emergency service that'll tell you when the campus is closing. But, I'm happy to pass that message along as well. And speaking of that, if there is bad weather and they're not closing campus, go ahead and stay home. If you feel like it's risky, don't risk yourself to get to class. Class is not that important. If I'm here, I will lecture anyways. I'll record the lecture and then you can do it on your own time, right? So you don't need to be sitting there watching the scrolling, are they going to close rows? Are they going to close rows? I don't want to drive in this weather. Well, if you don't want to drive in the weather, don't, right? That makes sense. I'm never going to penalize you for, taking care of your safety. Same is true if you're sick or whatever. If you're sick, just shoot me a message saying, hey, I'm not going to be in class today. So you do need access to a computer with the internet if you're going to do your stuff at home. Strongly recommend actually using a computer. Yeah, you might be able to download something that'll, run Java on your Android tablet or your iPad, but meh, you can't get NetBeans running on those things. But if you can't get a hold of a computer that'll do this stuff, use the business lab over in room 206. Here's our textbook. You will need the textbook, so go ahead and get it. On the other hand, I don't mind if you get the first edition. Just know that the chapters are in a slightly different order in the first edition. If you get it as an ebook, you can use it in my class, but you cannot use it if you go and take it at the Learning Resource Center. When I say it, I mean exams. My exams are open book, which is real cool, right? But if you had your book on a tablet, on a Kindle or whatever, they're not going to let you do that at the Learning Resource Center. The tests are going to be given in here, though. The only reason, gee, I can't spell the word Raven, can I? The only reason you would wind up taking it at the Learning Resource Center is if you can't be there the day that the tests are given, right? Just be aware of that. That's the drawback to buying an electronic book. So course objectives. Understanding fundamental concepts and general principles of programming, such as loops, decision statements, arrays, console, file, input, and output. I need to add another point here, which is debugging, using the interactive debugging. I need to add a point B there because that's very important. And that's what the IDE gives you that you couldn't do if you were just using a text editor. What is a debugger? It's when it runs the program line by line. You can watch the status of the variables change. You can watch the logic as it executes every line. And it's pretty cool. You will learn the Java programming language and the use of Java libraries. You know, there's a vast collection of classes and libraries that you can use with Java. And we will learn how to use the NetBeans IDE to develop software, including graphical user interface software. We'll write at least one program using the GUI. Grades are pretty boringly broken down. Traditional structure, 90%'s an A, 80%'s a B, and so on. I like to give good grades, so this is not considered to be a killer gut course, right? That'll kill everybody. I'd like to give everybody an A. You know, as long as you do all the work and you do well on the exams, then you're going to get a really good grade in the class. So just keep up. Broken down like this. Programming homework is 30%, almost a third. In-class homework's 30%. Exams and quizzes, 30%. And then a final project, 10%. We'll talk about the final project at a future class. It's just a chance for you to write something that's not just a short little assignment, right? Because the homework that you usually work on, right, is designed to just teach you one general concept. And you can usually solve that like in 50 lines of code or 100 lines of code or something like that. You want something a little bit bigger to sink your teeth into. So you will want to install NetBeans. There's instructions there's a link that you'll go to, a document about that in the content section. Everybody has an email address. Submitting homework. When your program is running, take a screenshot of it successfully running. You will upload the screenshot and the source code. Don't just upload the screenshot. Don't just upload the source code. Give me both. When you're finished with your assignment, you use the assignment's link to submit both the screenshot and the Java files you create. Now, if you took my 113 course, you probably didn't do screenshots. I didn't make every class do that. But I want you to do it in this one. It's easy. So it's not going to take you much additional time to do that. And we'll walk through taking a screenshot right away. Yeah, there's an infinite number of ways of taking screenshots. If you're using Windows 10, there's a way to do it where it'll stick files right in a folder. I'm going to show you what I consider the easiest one. And if you want to install screenshot software or whatever, you can do that. When you submit your assignment, there's a comments field. Use that to your advantage. If you think your program is working correctly, say so. If you think your program is not working correctly, it's better for you to tell me that in the comments field than to just wait for me to find out, right? You know, if you think it's working and I find a problem, no problem. But if you think it's not working and I find out that it's not working, yeah, then, anyways, go ahead and let me know. There is one, that's kind of implying that you can turn in something that's not working. To some degree, that's true, but it has to at least compile and run, right? It can't have syntax errors. Java will not run the program if it cannot compile it. So if you have semicolons in the wrong place or, you know, quote signs, whatever, you will know if you have syntax errors. The program just will not flat out refuse to run. It's not like Python where it will run halfway through and then find the syntax error. Java just will not let you build the program at all. Don't upload anything to me that's like that and expect to get a good grade on it. Now, if you're absolutely stymied, you could upload that and then send me a text message saying, please, could you look at it and tell me what I did wrong? On the other hand, you could probably just take a picture and text me. You won't get credit for stuff that has syntax errors. I'm sorry. If you didn't care enough to get it to run in the first place, then you don't get a good grade on it. So you're going to get it running and you're going to upload it, but what if it doesn't work correctly? Well, you'll get partial credit. Like what if it was supposed to do 3 things and you only did 2 of those things? You'll get partial credit. But then you can turn around and fix your program for more points. When I grade it in the comments field that I get to fill out, then I'll say, you forgot to do part C. Or no, this doesn't correct, calculate pi. It always prints out that pi is equal to 4. That's not a good value for pi. Please find the problem and correct it for more credit. Then just go ahead and do that and you'll get a good grade on it. You may not get 100% because you didn't get it done, on time, from the first time or whatever. But you'll get a good grade. So the grading policy, I just mentioned this, has to run in order to get any credit. If you do not submit a screenshot, you'll get partial credit at best. If you cannot get your program to meet the requirements of the assignment, go ahead and submit it, but put in the comments field what was wrong. Partial credit will be awarded. And then if you only receive partial credit, you can revise and resubmit the program to get more credit. The exception to that is if you're caught cheating on something and you get a 0 on it, you're not going to get a chance to revise it. We'll spend more time than I want to talking about academic dishonesty in a minute. In general, programming assignments are due 1 week from the day they are assigned. I have these dates wrong, though. If homework is assigned Tuesday, October 1, then they're due by Monday, October 7th. Right, they're due the midnight the day before class.
That would be next week.
Right. Right.
Well,
So,
if homework is assigned Monday.
right. So, if it's on class Tuesday, it's due. Oh, the 8th was correct. I don't know what's wrong with my brain. Yeah, whatever. You get the idea. It's due the day before class at midnight. I'll correct the dates on this and revise it. Now, if you look at the grades, you may think, oh, I'm not going to have to do too much work because I'm going to come in class and I'm going to take the quizzes. I'm going to get 30% there. Maybe I'll just totally ace the exams as well. Whoops. I have quizzes listed twice. I apologize. I changed the policy right today. Did not correctly edit that. And so you add up some of these things and you think, well, I can only do like 2 homework assignments and do the rest and I'll have a C. No, you have to complete half of the programming homework. You have to have at least a 50% average on your programming homework in order to pass the course. Because this is a programming class, it's not just a come and attend lecture and look at the screen and type some stuff in. You actually have to prove that you can do some programming. So even if you had a 70 or 72% because you did a few of the programs, I've had somebody who came in and only took the exams and did the quizzes. And they did really well on the exams, so it was clear that they knew how to do that. This was before I was giving credit for in-class, stuff. And I had to tell them at the end of the day, no, you can't pass the class if you don't do the homework. Where was I? So you're going to take a screenshot, you're going to upload your source code and the screenshot. What is the source code? It's stored in a file called .java. Now when you make a project in NetBeans, it creates a whole folder. If you want to, you could zip that whole folder. Or you can just find the .java file, or files if you have more than one, and submit those. You don't have to zip them. If you're going to give me the whole folder, yes, you're going to zip the entire folder. But if it's just a single .java file or a couple of .java files, and that's all you want to submit, that's fine. So for example, if I can go and find a Java. I thought I already had one ready. I'll use C++ projects as an example. Each time you create a new project, it puts all the stuff in its own folder. And then it creates several subfolders. Java even more than C++. If you want to, you could just zip the whole shebang like that and do send to compressed folder. If you have some other zip utility that you like, or you like creating WinRAR files or something like that, whatever. Or you just drill down until you find the .java file in the correct subfolder. When we do a hello world style program, then we'll work through submitting that. So as I mentioned, partial credit may be awarded for assignments that do not meet the full all the criteria. You may have heard of incomplete grades. As of this semester, we have been recommended by the dean that we do not grant incomplete grades. What is incomplete? Well, say you took the class, but you had to leave it, 6 weeks before the end of the semester. And at that point, you had a good average, but, if you didn't do any more work in the class, you would have made a C, something like that. And so you ask your prof for an incomplete. Well, we're not supposed to do that anymore. The way that the incompletes work is that you got an I on your transcript, and then you were supposed to follow up and complete the work, within 4 weeks or something like that, and we would go in and we would change your grade. Instead, you're going to get the C that you were earning at that time. But you talk to your professor, you do the work, and then your professor will go ahead and give you the A or whatever when you complete all your work. The only difference is that we don't have to remember to go in and change all the I's to bad grades after that after that interval is passed. And people tended to not finish the class if given an I. They would go, I'm just going to leave that I on my transcript. It's not a bad thing. But if you have a C or a D or an F on your transcript, you will work with the professor in order to finish your work. So it's an encouragement to get your work done. So the late assignment policy. I'll give you all a day's grace period, right? Because I want to do Monday night or Wednesday night, but say you just completely can't understand it and you want to come in and talk to me during office hours on Tuesday or something like that. That's okay. Come in, ask the question, and then get it done that night or turn it in, the next day. One day late, that's not a big deal. But other than that, if it's up to a week late, you're going to get a 10% deduction on it. Each additional week is 10%, but no assignment is accepted more than 4 weeks late. Why? Well, because if you haven't been doing these assignments, then you're not going to be able to do the next assignments, and you're not going to be able to do the next one, and they'll build up to where you haven't done anything. And I've had people, finals week, they come in and they're 10 weeks behind, and they want to do all the work right there, and they're hoping that I'll sit there and explain each program so that they can write it. No, you really need to be getting them done within a month. Actually, you should be getting them done, on time. So in-class assignments must be completed within 4 weeks, but there's no debit for turning in something late. You miss a day, right? You watch the lecture, you turn it in, the following day or next week like that. I'm not going to cut you off, but until it's more than a month late, in which case you don't get any credit. I might waive penalties if you talk to me about it beforehand. Hey, I'm going to France and I'm not going to be, I'm not going to be watching the videos. I'll come back and catch back up, in 2 weeks or whatever. Yeah, okay. Let me know, and then when you actually submit the stuff, use the comments field to explain why. Remind me that we talked. If you don't remind me that we talked, then it's possible I'll forget, and that, I'll do the deduction, and you'll have to contact me and say, hey, but you promised, Saves time if you put it in the comments. Pretend that my memory isn't perfect. Quizzes. You will have quizzes over each chapter. They're not in-class quizzes unless just for some reason I feel like they need to be. There'll be stuff that you do at home. Once they've been graded, you get a chance to redo them. You can retake it to get more credit. But if you miss the original due date, I might just give you a 0 and not let you retake it. Probably not, but I reserve that option to do so. So you'll be able to retake the quizzes until you get a really good grade on them. Why is that? Well, that's not really a very good quiz, is it? I can just retake it as many times as I want. Well, the point of the quizzes in my class is not as a measurement tool, but as a learning tool. Yeah. The measurement tool comes when you take the exams and when you do your homework. So attendance, I take attendance every time. Haven't taken them yet. I'll need to pop open the attendance window and do that in a moment. So please arrange your class schedule so that you can actually be here. Now, I do understand if things change and you have to miss, a time or two. I will take attendance at the beginning of the class, as I didn't do today. Once roll has been taken, anybody showing up after that will be counted as absent. There's no deduction for missed classes, but usually the students who attend classes a majority of the times and do not miss many days do better. When people start, it's real easy to get into the habit. You miss your first day, you watch the lecture, you think, hey, this is pretty cool. I can miss as many days as you want. I'm just going to watch the lectures. Now, what are the lectures? They're just a video of the screen with me droning on and on and on, right? So you're going to get bored of watching the videos. You're going to stop doing that. You're going to not keep up with the class. Now, I'm not saying that I'm boring. I just know this is generally what happens. If people are do not have the self-discipline in order to force themselves to watch all the lectures and to keep up with the class, then you fall behind, things stop making sense, and then you do really poorly in the class. So student expectations. I expect you to be able to have the internet, Java development tools. Please check D12 for updates. Now, when I post notices on D2L over here on the main page, I was under the perhaps mistaken impression that you all got email about that. Like, I've posted like 4 or 5 notices here. Did you all get email about any of these? Feel free to shake your head no.
I don't think I got an email update.
All right. I thought you did. I was making that assumption. I guess I'm going to go back to emailing what I consider to be very important notices if you're not getting, the notices as I post them on the D2L screen. I'm kind of disappointed that that's the case. Last semester it definitely seemed to be that people were getting the email.
Why was that?
Yeah.
I wonder why that was, though.
That was over the summer that I was seeing that. Alrighty. So keep up with the schedule and the due date. Check D2L. If you miss a class, just check D2L. You'll see when the homework's due. You'll see the video that we did, right? So it's up to you. Keep track of D2L. Attend class. Watch the videos for missed lectures. Read the text. If you're stuck on something, please crack the book open first and then ask me about it. It's not like I'm going to scold you. But you'll probably, you have a half a chance of figuring it out yourself. And the other half a chance is that once I explain it to you, if you've already seen it in the book, it's going to stick harder, right? That's why you have the book. You paid big money for it. Use it. Please complete your assignments on time. Communicate with the professor about problems with the class. Don't just wait, let 6 weeks go by before you start talking to me about the fact that you haven't been getting your homework done. Let me know. I will help you. I have office hours every day. I can make appointments to meet you on Friday if need be. I will help. Feel free to bring a laptop. Please do silence your communication devices. No game playing during class. You would think that I didn't have to say that, but I had a pair of students sitting in the back of the class playing, Street Fighter 2 over their remote, over their linked PS, handheld games. And I had to go back there and please don't do that. That was embarrassing to me. Don't play games during class. Don't put anything on your screen that would distract the people behind you. So, if you're playing, one of those melee, battle royale games, that's going to distract the people behind you. Don't do that. If I modify the syllabus, I will mention it in class. I will post a notice about it, and I will email it. At that point, it's important for you to go and reread the syllabus to understand the changes. Expectations of your instructor. What am I going to have to do? I've been telling you what you have to do. Yeah. So I got to provide clear instructions for the assignments. If I don't, if the instructions are unclear to you, it's very likely that they're unclear to somebody else. So go ahead and ask me about it. I will revise the instructions, most likely, and everybody will get to find out. I will answer questions regarding your assignments, however you pose them, person, email, phone, or text. I should grade everything and give feedback. I should give at least a week's notice of due assignments. I don't think it's fair for you to come in on Tuesday and for me to tell you that it's due Thursday, right? That's only 2 days. I don't think that's too cool. So usually I give you that week. When I say usually, always I will give you a week.
So usually it's to be lenient.
Right. Yeah. So if I goof up and I don't post a due date on a homework assignment, don't just think that that doesn't mean you don't have to do it. Instead, go ahead and start working on it, but send me a message saying, hey, there's no due date on assignment 12. And I'll go, yeah, you're right. And I'll probably set the due date from a week from that point that you told me. But I might not, because you already know things are due a week from the time that they are assigned.
And all due dates are concluded in D2L.
Yep. They will all be on D2L.
From everything, from this.
Yep. Just like in my previous classes, you'll be able to go to the assignments pages and you'll see the due dates. Alrighty, academic integrity. Don't turn in anybody else's work, and don't give your work to somebody else to turn in. Either one of those things. What I've had happen in the past is really unfortunate, is you can't finish your assignment, so you ask Daniel, hey Daniel, can I look at your work? Daniel said, oh, here, I'll just email it to you. And you'll see how I did it. And instead you go, oh, great, and you email me Daniel's assignment. No, that's bad, and you will both get zeros on it, and Daniel will be very unhappy. You will too. So don't do that. Worse things than merely getting a zero also happen. So that's plagiarism when you use somebody else's work. What if you both are working on the same program together? That's still plagiarism. Don't turn in work that looks like somebody else's work. I've had people, you have 2 or 3 people in the same apartment sharing the same computer. doing the homework, it was really tempting for them to just do the homework once and then submit it, right? No, you got to do your own work. Where it gets slightly iffy is if you want to use material from the internet, right? You're stuck. What's the first thing a programmer does when they're stuck? They go to the internet. They Google it up. So, you Google something up, file IO error, Java, and you find something on Stack Overflow, which is where the vast majority of questions and answers are posted anymore. And so, say that I want you to write a program that does a Caesar cipher. I probably misspelled both the word Caesar and cipher. Okay, so that's my assignment, and I give you some directions. I want it to be able to do this, and I want it to be able to do this. And so you go and you find some source code from somebody because you can't figure it out. Aha, here's some source code for it. You copy the source code, you paste it in to your own thing, and you mail it to me. And then when I look at it, I'm going to know you didn't write it. It's not going to look a bit like the other things that you've turned in because the people answering, on questions on Stack Overflow have 30 years of experience, and they write code that I can't understand. So when you upload it, I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to know that you took this block of code from somebody else. It's totally natural and good to do research on the internet, but don't just copy what you see there and paste it. Understand it and make it your own. That makes sense? And give credit if you're worried about it, right? You won't get the automatic 0 that you would otherwise if I see, code that is clearly and obviously taken from the internet. Now, if you need an example of opening a file, opening a print writer. Okay, how to use a print writer. There's even documentation on the Java sites itself. You'll find code examples there. Use them, but understand them. Change them to meet the needs of the assignment. All right. Consequences of academic dishonesty. Fortunately, that's not going to be a problem in here, but I got to mention it anyways. You'll get an F on the assignment. If somebody was helping you, you copied somebody else's work, they'll get an F too. That can make people really unhappy. All collaborators on the incident. Additionally, the student will be reported to the division dean and the director of student conduct. Why does it get escalated like that? Because you used to have serial cheaters who would cheat as much as they could in one class until they were caught, and then they would tell that professor, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was just, I was going through a hard time, just give me another chance." And so the professor would go, "Well, that's your first strike. I'm not going to kick you out of the class," or whatever. And then they would do the same thing in another class, and they would do the same thing in another class, and eventually the professors might talk to each other and find out that this person has done the same thing in 10 classes in a row.
Like explosion, which gets, it blew up.
Yeah. So
Bomb.
instead, it gets all reported in a central place so that...
I've heard of things going further and automatically expelling some students in the future.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about doing that very thing. As always, next semester they might start doing that.
Right.
And so we'll get even beyond that.
Yep. So bad things can happen. You can get an F in the class. You can be expelled from the school. You don't want any of that to happen. So ADA, accommodations. If you need help, you have dyslexia, or you can only type with one hand, or you need to be able to bring your own recorder in. I don't care if you record me, right? I'm recording me. But, if you need your own recorder, if you need to sit in the front row, but all the seats were already taken, let me know. And what you really need to do is go to Student Access Services, which used to be known as the Office of Disabilities. Go there or set up an appointment with them. They'll fill out a form with you stating your special needs. I have dyslexia, it takes me longer to read. I'm going to need extra time on the exams. And I'll say, okay, yeah, that's cool. Or, yeah, you can take it at the Learning Resource Center and take as much time as you want. Whatever we need to do in order to accommodate your needs, we will. But it just needs to be documented. So you go there, they fill out the sheet, it'll work. I'll get a copy of the sheet, you'll bring it to me, we'll understand it if I have to ask any questions, whatever. So mental health concerns. I used to just put this counseling, but they gave me a new blurb about it. Anyways, free counseling. You can get free counseling at Rose. And the counseling is cool. Stressful events, anything going on in your life can lead to diminished academic performance or reduce your ability to participate, right? You're going through a divorce, you've lost your job, you have big interpersonal conflict, you're struggling. I've had students with PTSD from coming back from Iraq, and that was serious, it was degrading their ability to concentrate in class. So Rose provides services available to assist you to address these and other concerns you're experiencing. You can learn about the personal counseling and a broad range of confidential mental health services. Now, your problems may not stem from this college. I had a student who was assaulted by an instructor at another college. And sure enough, that really upset them, and so they were having a hard time in my class as well. And so, I directed them to these people, and these people contacted that college and worked it out real good. So, ask for help if you need it. It's free. What do you got to lose? There's something called the Student Success Center. I'm just going to click on this and show you the webpage for it. You can go there and take little workshops like math anxiety, tips to succeed in science courses, the wise use of credit cards. Not all of it's directly related to academics. Stress management, job hunting tips. So if you find any of that of interest, go to that webpage, take a gander at the workshops offered. I'm sure you know that there's a bookstore. You know what? I don't know where the bookstore's moved. Where is it now?
In the Child Health Center, I think.
In Child Health? Okay, okay. Yeah, we're going to get a nice, snazzy new student union, but until then, the bookstore's not as conveniently located as it was. Of course, it's also available online, but I'm sure you still have to go and pick your stuff up. I would assume so. The student handbook. The student handbook is amazingly long, but it's all the policies and rules of the campus. It's worth looking at. Like I said, it's long. It's 76 pages long. Go ahead and look at it when you feel like you have the, couple minutes to kill. I'm saying that lightly. You actually need to kind of plow through it and make sure that you understand the expectations, so that if something like, it explains what an AW is and things like that. I don't think I mentioned AWs. If you do not participate in a class for the first 2 weeks or the first week in an 8-week course, then you get dropped from the class and AW gets recorded on your transcript. And if anybody gave you money to take that class, then they come back and they get it from you. It used to be that people could make a career of getting grants to go to school and then not show up at the class. And then they just go to, another state or something, and they'd reapply for grants and stuff. And now it's all, centralized and stuff like that. So I've had in the past students skip the first 4 weeks, and then when they got the AW notice, they came to me and said, I didn't know attendance was mandatory. I was going to catch up. And I said, well, did you read the syllabus? And no, I didn't read the syllabus. Did you ever attempt to contact me? No, I never attempted. Well, they had to accept the AW on their transcript, and they weren't happy about it. I wasn't happy about having to tell them that. Okay, and then the last page, login assistance. If you have trouble accessing the campus network, you don't need that information in order to get to D2L, remotely from your home computer. But in order to access any of these, and you're saying, well, I can't get into D2L, I think I've already said this. You can get to it on your phone. Help with email. In fact, this is sounding real familiar. And D2L assistance. If you can't log into D2L, you go to the D2L help desk and fill out a form. And you put your email address and your phone number, and you mention which one you'd rather be contacted at. And they are amazingly fast. I've posted questions there. I use the same form as the students do. And sometimes I'll get an email response back in 5 minutes. So if you can't log into D2L, give them a call. Let them know. Not give them a call. Fill out the form and let them know. It's an easy form to fill out. You'll get an answer back very quickly. Okay, that's about enough of that. Are there any questions so far? I haven't outlined the way that the class is really going to work, I do not believe. But I've outlined kind of the rules of the class. So it may not totally make sense. On the other hand, if you've had my classes in the past, then you kind of know where we're going to be going with this. So what we're going to do is pretty much every day I'm going to be lecturing based on the PowerPoints, but I'm also going to be demonstrating code. I'm going to be typing code in. More rarely, like 7 years ago, what I would do is I would hand written assignments out, and people would type in looking, at the paper. But instead, I demonstrate the code up here. I would appreciate it if you followed along. You're going to open your editor and follow along, if you can. And then at the end of the class period, you will upload that into a daily assignment folder that I'm going to create. So just do that every day. If you miss a day, watch the lecture and then do the same thing. I had forgotten that this projector clips the screen. If you're watching the video from home and you find it impossible to actually follow along, right? You're watching it on an iPad and your computer's broken or something like that. We do have a lecture video form. You can open that up, you can fill it out, and you can say, yes, I did watch the lecture. Well, aren't we taking our sweet time to open? So you're just going to put your name on it. Which video did you watch? I watched lecture C. The date watched. Then I'm going to ask 2 questions. Did you look at the daily notes from the video? You can say yeah. And then what did you learn from the video? That way you don't just upload, something saying you watched it if you didn't. This is an alternative to following along and typing the code in, as like you were in class. So you can do either. If you can't get your code working during class, that's okay. Go ahead and upload it anyways. You're probably going to get full credit. If you elected to just watch the video and not type at all, upload a document saying that you were here in class. Right. Just let me know that you were there that day. Because it serves as a paper trail as well. And you do get credit for each day that you attend and you upload a document. And that's worth points. It's worth 30% of the class. So you're going to want to do that. But the other thing that could happen is you were here, but you lost it. You tried to submit it, and you lost it. Well, then you just upload a document saying that you were here that day. And I'll be able to check attendance and verify that, and you'll get credit. Speaking of which, no, I'm not going to do attendance. Okay, yeah. In class information, you will see a document called screenshots. If you're a Mac user, the process is a little bit different, not too much. Anyways, you can take a screenshot of the whole page or of just a window. And, some people like to crop their screenshots so that it only includes, just the program itself. So, I don't see your Star Wars desktop wallpaper like I care. But anyways, rather than crop it, you can just take a picture of a particular window. And like I said, there's 20,000 different screenshot utilities. But the easiest way, the quickest way in my mind, is to just press Alt Print Screen and then select the window that I want to take a picture of. Or just click Print Screen, and it does it without selecting a window. So I want everybody to take a screenshot of anything, not a program, just of your browser window. Hit either print screen. Well, now let's take a picture of a specific window. So Alt Print Screen, and then click on the title bar that you want to take the screenshot of. I hope that actually did it. Then open Paint or Word, something like that, and just paste. Control V. We'll paste it. And there, I've got a screenshot. Then save it. Save as, and put your name, whatever. And that'll be what you upload into the Dropbox that I'm about to create. Now, if the Alt Print Screen thing didn't work for you, just hit Print Screen and do the same thing. But it's going to get the entire screen and not just the window that you select. If you have other favorite ways of taking print screens, screenshots, that's totally cool as well. Okay, so what you're going to want to do once you've saved your document is click Assignments. You'll see the folder called In Class A. Just click on that and submit it. Now when I say just click on it and submit it, I know that some people may appreciate a little bit of walkthrough on it, so I'm going to switch over to student mode so I can simulate what you would be doing. So I clicked on assignments, staying cropping. Move that over there. All right. Click on in Class A. You'll see an Add a File button. And this is just like adding an email attachment, right? Just because you upload an attachment doesn't mean it's actually sent it. And then you choose My Computer, and you can drag and drop if that's the way you like to do things, or choose Upload and then just go and pick the document that you're going to upload. Honestly, I don't remember where I saved it, so I'm just going to pick one at random. You're going to find out where you saved it and uploaded it, of course, right? Then click Add and click Submit. And if you needed to add any comments, like I've asked you to do for your homework assignments, go ahead and do so. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and talk past that, even if you don't have that done. But then you'll have, we're going to end class a little bit early, so you'll have a chance to ask questions about it. What the homework assignment is going to be to install NetBeans and to take a picture of it running, right? Be even cooler if you made a Hello World application, but we haven't worked through running NetBeans yet, so that's what we're going to do on Thursday. Is we're going to do some history of programming and a couple other topics, and we're also going to create our first NetBeans application. So after that, I'm going to want you to have some homework that's actually programming. But for Tuesday, just install NetBeans, take a screenshot of it running. Doesn't even have to be running any program, and upload that screenshot. That's enough for that one. I will post some instructions. All of the homework is going to be in a folder called under Content. I'm still in student mode, so I can't add things right now. All right. And also in the assignments. That's where you'll see them. So let's do that right now. I'm going to make a homework 0, I'm going to call it. And as I mentioned, I always give you until next week. All right, so I'll put the instructions in there, but verbally you already understand them, I hope. Install NetBeans. How do you install NetBeans? There's a link. Go over to NetBeans, find the link, go install it. If you already have NetBeans installed, excuse me, if you've already installed a JDK but you haven't installed NetBeans, go ahead and install it again. And if you run into a problem, uninstall everything and then install again from this link. Just to make sure that it's all cleaned up. All right, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little quiz that just has a true-false question saying that you were here. It's going to be quiz 0. Now, why am I calling these things 0 rather than 1? I know some people already know the explanation for that. Somebody tell me why I'm naming it homework 0 and quiz 0.
That's what computers died.
It's because computers tend to use zero-based indexing, meaning that the first entry is called item 0. Like if you have a string, the first character is at position 0. The second is at 1. So it's kind of an off by 1 thing. So that's just to remind you that pretty much everything we do in here that has to do with lists or sequences is going to use zero-based indexing. All right, what's this quiz question going to be? It's going to be a true-false question saying, I am participating in the class. Please don't choose false. You get 100% of the quiz for indicating true. All right. So I want y'all to go ahead and do that. From the same general menu bar, choose quizzes. Find the one that, where is it? Oh, down here. All right. Choose quiz 0. Do begin quiz. Doesn't look the same on my screen as it does on yours. Quiz 0. There should be a start button down here, which I don't have because I can't simulate a student mode at 100%. Go ahead and choose true, submit it, and we are done for today. If you have any questions, we can hang out and talk. I don't need to be at the next class for, 20 minutes or so. Are there any questions? For those of y'all who've had my classes recently, thank you for sitting through the syllabus again. Hope it was fascinating, and hopefully even more so for the newbies.